What happens when a movie pushes boundaries so far that it shocks audiences, sparks outrage, and almost disappears forever? Today on Globewise TV, we're diving into 6 shocking 90s films that stirred massive controversy upon release. So much so, they nearly vanished from history. From banned screenings to public backlash, these films weren't just movies, they were cultural flashpoints you won't believe existed. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Globewise TV for more fascinating film content. And don't forget to tell us in the comments, which of these controversial movies surprised you the most? 6. Natural Born Killers, 1994. When Oliver Stone released Natural Born Killers in 1994, it didn't just spark debate, it ignited a cultural firestorm. The film starred Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis as Mickey and Mallory Knox, a rebellious couple whose crime spree turns them into twisted media celebrities. But the real target of the film wasn't crime, it was the media itself. Stone used a chaotic mix of visual styles, rapid editing, and surreal television imagery to show how sensational news coverage can turn criminals into pop culture icons. At the time, this message was shocking. Critics argued that the film's intense style and controversial themes pushed the boundaries of mainstream cinema. Some media outlets even blamed the movie for allegedly inspiring real-world crimes, which only fueled the controversy. Suddenly, Natural Born Killers wasn't just a movie, it became a lightning rod in the growing debate about violence in entertainment and the responsibility of the media. Several countries restricted or censored the film, and it faced heavy criticism from politicians and commentators who believed it went too far. Yet, ironically, the very controversy that threatened to bury the movie also helped cement its legacy. Over time, many critics and film scholars began to see it differently, not as a glorification of violence, but as a dark satire about society's obsession with fame and sensationalism. Today, Natural Born Killers is often discussed as one of the boldest and most provocative films of the 1990s. What once shocked audiences has become a fascinating time capsule of how media, fame, and controversy collided in the late 20th century. And in doing so, the film proved something unexpected. Sometimes the most controversial stories are the ones history refuses to forget. 5. Bad Lieutenant, 1992. In the gritty streets of New York City, a police officer is supposed to represent law and order. But in Bad Lieutenant, the line between justice and corruption completely disappears. Directed by Abel Ferrara and starring Harvey Keitel, this 1992 crime drama shocked audiences the moment it premiered. Instead of portraying a heroic cop, the film dives deep into the life of a deeply flawed and self-destructive police lieutenant who is trapped in addiction, corruption, and moral collapse. At the time of its release, many viewers were stunned by how raw and brutally honest the film was. Its unfiltered look at crime, guilt, and redemption pushed boundaries that most Hollywood films of the early 90s simply wouldn't dare cross. Critics debated whether it was a bold artistic masterpiece or a film that went too far. Some theaters were hesitant to screen it, and the controversy surrounding its intense scenes nearly caused it to fade into obscurity. For a while, Bad Lieutenant existed more as a whispered recommendation among film lovers than a widely celebrated classic. But over time, opinions began to shift. Film critics and cinema historians started recognizing the movie as one of the most fearless performances of Harvey Keitel's career and a powerful exploration of human weakness and redemption. Today, Bad Lieutenant is often remembered as a daring piece of 90s cinema, a film that challenged audiences, sparked debates, and proved that sometimes the most controversial stories are the ones that refuse to be forgotten. And that's exactly why it earned a place on our list of 10 90s films so controversial upon release they nearly vanished from history. If you love discovering forgotten and controversial movies from the past, make sure to subscribe to Globewise TV and tell us in the comments. Have you ever seen Bad Lieutenant, or is it now on your watch list? 4. Milk Money, 1994. In the mid-1990s, one film stirred up debate the moment it hit theaters: Milk Money. Released in 1994 and starring Melanie Griffith, Ed Harris, and Michael Patrick Carter, the movie tried to mix heartfelt drama with light comedy. But the unusual premise quickly made it one of the most controversial Hollywood films of the decade. The story follows a lonely young boy who lives with his widowed father. Curious about relationships and growing up, the boy and his friends make a bold decision. They pool their money to ask a streetwise woman to spend time with his father, hoping it might help him find happiness again. That woman is played by Melanie Griffith, who brings warmth and humanity to a character who initially seems out of place in a quiet suburban town. As the story unfolds, something unexpected happens. What begins as an awkward arrangement slowly turns into a touching and unconventional connection between two lonely adults. However, when the film was released, critics and audiences were divided. Many felt the subject matter was too risky for a mainstream comedy drama, while others argued the film was actually about loneliness, family, and second chances. Because of the controversy, Milk Money struggled at the box office and quickly faded from the spotlight. For years, it was rarely discussed among 90s movie lists, almost disappearing from pop culture conversations. Yet today, some viewers see it differently, as a strange but sincere attempt to tell a story about compassion, misunderstanding, and human connection. Love it or question it, Milk Money remains one of the most talked about forgotten films of the 1990s, a movie that dared to push boundaries and paid the price for it. 3. Lolita, 1997. In the late 1990s, one film became so controversial that many theaters refused to show it. That film was Lolita. Directed by Adrian Lyne, the movie was based on the famous novel Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. The story follows Humbert, played by Jeremy Irons, a man whose unhealthy obsession with a young girl named Lolita slowly leads his life into chaos and tragedy. The role of Lolita was played by Dominique Swain, while Melanie Griffith appeared as her mother. Even before its release, the film sparked intense debate. Many critics and advocacy groups worried that adapting such a controversial novel for modern audiences could be misunderstood. Because of the backlash, major distributors hesitated to release the movie widely. In fact, in the United States, the film struggled to find a theatrical release at all and was shown mostly through television and limited screenings. Despite the controversy, some critics argued that the film wasn't promoting the disturbing behavior shown in the story, it was actually portraying the psychological downfall of its main character. Jeremy Irons' performance was widely praised for capturing the complex and tragic nature of Humbert's character. Over time, Lolita, 1997, gained a reputation as one of the most debated literary adaptations of the decade. What was once nearly buried by controversy slowly became a topic of discussion among film historians and cinema lovers interested in bold storytelling. Today, the film remains a reminder that some movies push boundaries so far that they risk disappearing entirely, but sometimes, those same films later return as fascinating pieces of cinematic history. 2. Happiness, 1998. The film that made audiences extremely uncomfortable. When Todd Solondz released Happiness in 1998, he didn't just make a movie, he sparked one of the most uncomfortable debates in modern cinema. At first glance, the film looks like a dark comedy about the everyday lives of several people in suburban America. But beneath that ordinary surface, Happiness explores loneliness, obsession, and the hidden struggles people try to keep secret. What shocked audiences the most was how fearlessly the movie approached extremely sensitive topics. Instead of presenting clean heroes and villains, the film shows deeply flawed characters dealing with disturbing thoughts and personal failures. For many viewers in the late 90s, this brutally honest storytelling felt almost too real. The controversy grew quickly. Major studios reportedly refused to distribute the film because of its subject matter, and several theaters were hesitant to show it. Critics were split. Some praised its bold storytelling, while others called it one of the most uncomfortable films ever made. Yet despite the backlash, Happiness refused to disappear. Over time, film scholars and cinephiles began re-examining the movie. Many started to view it as a daring piece of independent cinema that challenged audiences to confront uncomfortable truths about human behavior and society. Today, Happiness is often discussed as one of the most controversial films of the 1990s, an unforgettable example of how far storytelling can push boundaries. And whether people love it or hate it, one thing is certain. It's a film that audiences have never been able to forget. 1. Kids, 1995. In 1995, a small independent film shocked audiences and critics alike. That film was Kids, directed by Larry Clark and written by Harmony Korine. At first glance, the movie seemed like a raw snapshot of teenage life in New York City during the mid-1990s. But what made it truly unforgettable and controversial was its unfiltered, realistic portrayal of youth culture. The film follows a group of teenagers navigating a single day in the city, highlighting peer pressure, reckless decisions, and the consequences that can follow. Instead of glamorizing teenage life, the movie presented it in a brutally honest way. That honesty sparked intense debate. When Kids premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, reactions were explosive. Some critics praised it as a powerful social commentary, while others argued it was too shocking and uncomfortable for mainstream audiences. Because of the controversy, several distributors hesitated to release the film widely. Some theaters refused to screen it, and the movie even faced classification challenges in different countries. For a moment, it looked like Kids might disappear entirely from the public eye. But something unexpected happened. Over time, the film developed a strong cult following. Many viewers began to see it not as a shocking film, but as a bold and honest look at a generation growing up in the 1990s. Today, Kids is remembered as one of the most talked about independent films of its decade, an example of how a movie that once nearly vanished can later become an important piece of cinema history. Thanks for watching Globewise TV. Those were 6 films from the 1990s that stirred major controversy when they were first released. Movies that shocked audiences, divided critics, and in some cases nearly disappeared from history. Yet over time, many of them found new appreciation and became fascinating pieces of cinema history. It just goes to show that sometimes the most controversial films are also the ones that push storytelling forward and leave a lasting impact. Now we'd love to hear from you. Which of these movies surprised you the most? And which one do you think deserves more recognition today? Tell us your thoughts in the comment box below. We read every comment and love hearing from fellow movie fans. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Globewise TV for more amazing stories about classic films, forgotten gems, and cinema history from around the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video on Globewise TV.